Have a look at your wares.
This property belongs to someone else. You have a kind master.
Ed? Hey, you're not allowed here.
Good day. God be with you.
At the mill? Yeah, the place managerial just stream. But then,
My legs are
has the water sprite been up to his mischief again?
You could say that. I found a dead body stuck in the road.
What? Ah! Useless! You don't fight with guards, you fool! You surrender to them! Jesus, I'm hit! You won't escape punishment. Do it!
The offer of Hermes Trismegistos. That's Krazel's document.
I'll help you arrest him.
Here, I'll take
Hey, you won't escape punishment.
You're a dead man. You're no man for us, fucker.
I'll hammer
That
some manners
was
into
something.
you. What are you?
On your feet. Did you want to strangle that fella, you bastard? You won't escape justice. You'll pay compensation, or it's the stake for you.
This is unbelievable. I'm a man of honor from a good family. And I'm in no mood to be negotiating with a peasant like you.
Oh, I apologize, my lord. I must have made a mistake. Let's just forget about this.
And
Well, that's
it's
taken
done.
care of. Off you go now.
Are you all right?
Do you want me to arrest you again?
There you are! Hold! Surrender, now!
Easy now. I surrender.
I've got it in for you, scum! You've been loitering around here where you shouldn't have, and I've received reports of things going missing. Don't think we're idiots. You've been accused of theft. You'll pay a fine, and if I don't find those things on you, you'll pay for them too.
Oh, please. Look at me. Do I look like a dishonest man? This is all just a misunderstanding.
Oh, I apologize, my lord. I must have made a mistake. Let's just forget about this.
Please, help me!
What happened to you?
Please, help!
What happened to you?
I fell out of that bloody tree.
Why did you climb up there?
I thought I saw something shiny up there. Like gold or something. But instead of finding treasure, I almost lost my life.
I'm no physician, but this needs bandaging.
But I won't get far in this state. Do you have anything to dress it? A rag or something?
Hold on, let me see. Here. You're lucky I carry around a pocket full of junk. Here, let me dress it for you.
Thank you. You're the first good thing to happen to me in a long while. You know, I was born under an unlucky star.
Stop feeling so sorry for yourself. Everyone has bad luck sometimes.
But I'm cursed with it. Even as a boy, I was always losing things. Constantly getting beaten up. And once I spent the whole summer laid up with some weird sickness. My parents spent everything they had on a healer who said he had the perfect cure.
See? That sounds like a bit of luck, doesn't it?
Well, it seemed that way. But when he went to get the cure, he was struck dead by lightning on the way. We couldn't afford another healer, so I was sick for 6 months.
But you survived. I call that pretty lucky.
You think? Then hear me out. I always wanted to buy myself a horse. I saved every groschen I earned. But it was never going to be enough. So I confided in my neighbor. And he said, if I gave him all my coin, he'd win me twice as much down the tavern. He told me he could cheat the local drunks because he had weighted dice.
And you gave him the money?
That I did. And I never saw it or him again.
That's not bad luck. It's folly. People are bastards. You shouldn't be so trusting.
I'm not even finished yet. Since I couldn't buy a horse, I gave a groschen to a horse trader to let me ride one at least. But as we trotted through the woods, the nag's leg snaps. She was dead before I could fetch help. It took me 3 years to pay off that carcass. So I first lost money to a swindler, and then I had to buy a dead horse.
Still, it could have been worse. Everybody has setbacks.
You still don't get it, do you? All right, this will convince you. I like this girl down the way. But when I finally mustered the courage to talk to her, I found out she'd been poisoned by mushrooms the day before.
Yes, but...
Hang on. I'm not finished there. I found a dog. A nice little puppy. He'd follow me around. So I took him in and raised him. The moment he grew a full set of teeth, he bit me and ran off.
Right. Now this sounds like too much of a coincidence.
As he scampered off, the dog scattered a farmer's flock of sheep. As I helped him to round them up, I stumbled upon a pack of wolves. So I had one leg bit by a mongrel, and the other by a wolf. Only that wolf bite gets some dirt in it, and my whole leg goes black. I couldn't walk for a month.
All right, I see now.
My wife took care of me all that month. And just as I was getting better, she cooked some food in the pot and told me she had to go into town. She never came back.
What happened to her?
I have no idea. She just vanished. The thing is, she took all her stuff and all my money with her. So if you ask me, she flew the coop. And since then, it's all been downhill for me. As soon as I went out for the first time, after my leg was healed, the bailiff grabbed me. He said 3 sheep from that flock had never been found, so I had to pay for them. But what with my darling wife pocketing all my coin, I ended up in the pillory.
If that's all true, I have to admit, you're cursed with bad luck.
Yeah, but today I was lucky you were passing by. Thanks, friend. My leg's all the better for it.
Glad I could help.
Are you right in the head?
What do you want, you scoundrel? I ain't gonna talk to the likes of you.
I'm a decent person. I'm sorry for what happened.
It's all right, we all make mistakes. Let's leave it be.
Come on, let's fight some more.
Again? All right. But we still have to make a bet.
Here's the money.
Good. Defend yourself.
You'll be shitting at.
Mind where you're going. Oh, say, Henry, you battered me pretty good. Here's your money. Enjoy it.
God bless you, sir.
I have that document from the rat house for you.
Excellent. I knew I could count on you.
Judging by the contents, it seems like you're dabbling in alchemy here at the mill.
That's not a bad guess. But don't forget about astrology, theurgy, transmutation, and a smidgen of demonology. Although that's something anyone with a grain of sense should avoid. Now show it to me, so I can finally get the knowledge. Good. Good. This will come in handy. Ah, yes. Of course.
What now?
That much. Gonna need more. A lot more.
Did you hear me? What now?
Sorry. I got lost in thought. I owe you my thanks as well as reward for getting me the document. And maybe another little job? What do you say?
Don't tell me you've forgotten. I need to get to that wedding in Semi.
Don't worry. Your path is leading that way. Only it'll be a little longer than expected.
Are you yanking my pizzle?
Not at all. I'll get you to the wedding as sure as the heavens are above me. The fire of the Creator is within me. But you'll have to wait a while. Besides, things are about to get really interesting. Step by step, we're moving closer to the great revelation.
Enough. I'm sick of listening to your cryptic blabbering. Supposing you first initiate me into the mysteries of your enchanting mill. This isn't any run-of-the-mill business, so to speak. I smell something devilish here.
Devilish? Not at all. You guessed it. It's nothing less than high learning. Alchemy! And when I say alchemy, I mean real alchemy. Not some hocus-pocus brewing of potions for creaky joints and bellyache.
Tell me more about it, then. Maybe I'll learn something useful.
I suppose. You are my apprentice, after all. You deserve to know what all of this is leading to. Now, pay close attention. I want to make a golem out of dough. Then, using secret alchemical practices and theurgy, bring him to life.
A golem, you say? Isn't that a kind of pie? What are you going to do with a living pie?
Henry, a golem is a helper brought to life using divine words. A living statue endowed with massive strength. Can be made of clay, wood, stone, basically anything. I'll make one out of flour. Studying the Jewish Kabbals taught me a practice known as Maseh Bereshit. A mystic can use it to imitate the work of God. Just imagine. You know how helpful a golem would be at the mill? Carrying sacks, pulling wagons, standing guard. He wouldn't be much smarter than Zinnik, but he'd have the strength of 10 men.
My word. That sounds incredible. I have to see it.
So far, it's just all in my head. But if you're patient and help me, you'll see soon enough. It's in the interest of the advancement and prosperity of mankind. Just look at the Bible. Moses could command the waters and speak to God through the element of fire. Jesus brought the dead back to life. I've no doubt that if our great Holy Mother Church had been around at the time, they'd have crucified Jesus the same as the Pharisees. And all the apostles would have been burned at the stake.
So a golem, you say, made of flour? For the good of mankind?
Exactly!
And what about the good of me? You promised me a reward.
You already know that you can learn the practical application of certain useful skills from me. But for a few groschen, we could discuss the art on a more, let's say, theoretical level.
I'm overwhelmed with gratitude. Supposing you give me a few groschen first, as a reward for bringing you the document, and then I'll decide whether to trade the coin for some learning.
Oh, see now? I completely forgot. Here you go. So you don't go around saying that Miller Crazel is a pinch purse. I added in what I owe for those sacks you carried. And if you want some more work, there's plenty.
What's this next job all about?
I need to find a saltpeter pit.
Never a wasted word, eh, Crazel?
Short and to the point. That's my credo.
And how long will it take before you tell me what a saltpeter pit is?
A saltpeter pit is a pit in which saltpeter is formed.
This has something to do with that alchemy of yours, eh? I don't know much about that stuff.
Nitra is saltpeter. White crystals similar to salt.
And what needs salting here in the mill? Or is it supposed to be some peculiar crazal wedding gift for a young semi?
Nothing of the sort. The Kabbalistic doctrine speaks of saltpeter as a vessel for the inexhaustible essence of life. Those white crystals are said to contain the very essence of being. That's precisely what we need to give life to our golem. Thanks to the ingredients from Hermes Trismegistos, his feet will never get tired, and his fists will have the power to smash rocks. But saltpeter is the most important thing. Saltpeter will be the golem's heart.
I haven't heard such nonsense for a long time. A golem made of flour that can smash rocks, and then this saltpeter on top of everything. I think you want to add weight to your flour, and you're just trying to fool me with clever talk.
Why would I add weight to flour with such a rare commodity? You genius. If you don't want to believe in the golem, then don't. But I need that saltpeter, and I need a lot of it. That's why I want you to find me a decent saltpeter pit. Do you understand?
I was hoping I'd learn something useful from you. But instead, you're making me wander around the countryside looking for some pit.
Well, you never know when an experience like that might come in handy.
All right then. I'll look around for that saltpeter pit of yours. I just hope you know where to look. That you can point me in the right direction. And also that you'll get me into that wedding as a reward.
Yes, yes, and yes. Bonnie has a lead. She's a damned handy girl to have around. She can do anything you ask of her. But for you, the most important thing is that she knows how to look for niter, or saltpeter if you prefer.
So this Bonnie is some kind of witch who's in on this golem stuff.
Bonnie is someone I trust without question, and you should too. Not only will she teach you how to find saltpeter, but also how to differentiate it from common salt. The main difference is it has kind of cooling taste.
Hold your horses. You want me to taste that nasty stuff?
If you don't taste it, you could confuse it with some nasty rot. You don't want that.
Damn right.
Don't be such a lily-liver, Henry. If Bonnie can taste saltpeter, so can you. She'll tell you the rest herself. You'll find her in the lair. That's a secret storage space I have here just by the pond. Only my best people can get in.
How can I get to this lair?
There's a bridge over the mill stream towards the southwest. Take the path to the left, just behind it along the pond. From that path, you turn right, uphill, between the rocks, and you'll find yourself right in front of the lair. You can't miss it. Oh, and so I don't forget. You could pick some herbs along the way to see Bonnie. It would make her very happy. She's just been through some tough times. Her dog died, and on top of that, she has to spend time with that blabbermouth, Zinnik. On the other hand, Zinnik might be holding his tongue for a while, after his encounter with the Troskowitz stocks.
If Bonnie spends time with Zinnek, she may want some spirits rather than herbs.
Bonnie? Never. Being a decent Christian, she avoids alcohol like the plague. Right along, so you're back as soon as possible.
To the lair. Show me your wares. Well, I hope I've proven I'm not all hot air. Will you tell me more about yourself now?
Can't you just leave things the way they are?
I have to get to know the people I work for, at least a little.
Let me give you some good advice. People will always tell you what they want you to hear. And that's not always the truth. Try to get to know someone through their actions. Those mean more than 1,000 empty words.
I have a few more questions about thievery.
You know I don't like that ugly word. What do you want to know about the art?
That's all. Thanks for the advice. What's new around here?
Nothing much, lad. At least I haven't heard about anything.
You seem like a reasonably educated man, Crazel.
Where are you going with this?
Well, I reckon you know some interesting and useful things. If you share them with me, it'll make it easier to endure all that bullshit you spew.
I'm glad you know what you're getting yourself into. Are you interested in the theory of light, kinetics, or vacuums?
That's a bit too fast for me. What I need is the basics.
I have no time for the basics.
Well, I'll be happy to give you some groschen for your troubles.
All right. But don't forget, this will take some time. Throw in a few coins and I'll teach you whatever you want.
You talk about alchemy like a book. I reckon you could teach me something about brewing potions.
We've been through a lot together, so I'm sure you know that alchemy is a noble and serious science. Let's start with the importance of the ratio of ingredients and the proportion of substances, because every potion is different. Let's get to work. You silly dog.
I'd like to learn something new.
Well, you know how things work. All right. Or a few groschen and I'll...
For instance, I'd like to know how to pry open a lock properly. Or how to go through someone's purse without being noticed.
I see. I see. The combination of restraint and the mechanics of general acquisition of property. That seems doable. Let's get to work.
I'd like to learn something new.
Well, you know how things work around here. All right, throw in a few...
I reckon you could teach me how to move about undetected.
That's a true art. It's based on the ideas of the old masters. You need to master the knowledge of light and shadow. Find a balance. Let's get to work. What is it? Are you whistling just for fun?
God! Go! Go! Whoa!
Are they...
I'm Henry, Miller Crazel's new apprentice. He sent me to search for a niter pit and said you might be able to help me with that.
Of course I will. I'm Bonnie. Nice to meet you.
Bonnie? It's not a name I hear often.
It's not the name I was baptized with. In our craft, It ain't a good idea to tell people your real name. That's why we use nicknames. What should we call you?
The poet.
Well, that's not very creative. You know what? I'll come up with a nickname for you myself when I get to know you better. Did you bring me something from the mill?
Actually, Crazel said you'd appreciate some herbs.
He's right there. Do you have some for me?
I'm sorry. I got nothing for you.
I reckon I'll just have to scrape together the ingredients for that magic ritual myself.
What kind of magic ritual?
The kind where Zenek finally gets some sense into his head and stops making stupid beginner's mistakes. Just so you know, that mess with the author of Hermes Trismegistos would never have happened to me. Not me. While we're on the subject of rituals, did Crazel tell you about the golem?
He did.
And what do you think of it?
I'm curious to see what a golem made of flour will look like, but I'm mostly curious to see if Crazel will really be able to breathe life into it with the help of saltpeter.
I'm more worried that as soon as it comes to life, it'll slay us all with one blow. So, if by some chance it looks like something's going wrong, you won't see my heels for dust. And I suggest you do the same. But that's enough of that. We're not going to stand here talking about flower golems when we've barely just met. I'd like to chat with you too, Henry. Get to know you a bit. But if you're in a hurry to find Crazel's saltpeter, I won't keep you.
No. I have plenty of time. But where to start?
You know what? I'll start. When they caught Zenek in Troskovitz, I was scared out of my mind that they'd catch me and clap me in the stocks. I had to hide out here for a while, so I haven't had anyone to talk to. Life in the lair isn't all fun and games. Zenek and all the other mill knuckleheads were never worth much as company. So I'm glad the miller's finally found a normal hand for once. You've got a beautiful dog. What's his name?
Mutt.
What a cute fella. How did you find each other?
He belonged to this girl I knew, Teresa. She saved my life in my hometown, Skalitz, when I went to bury my parents.
Well, I'll be... That's what I call an interesting past. I used to have a dog, but I don't anymore.
He died.
He started getting these lumps all over his body. He stopped eating, just slept all the time. And then, well, what's done is done. And what about you? What kind of family are you from? Also, thieves?
I found myself following the path of the night. My only brother now is my sword.
Oh, aye. Men these days solve all their problems in armor on the field, gouging each other's eyes out and hacking off each other's limbs. Where are the good old days when everything could be solved with a simple dagger stab or a nice strong cup of hemlock? Jesus, I sound like an old crone now, eh? And you know who else pines for the good old days? Crazel. What do you think of the old miller, anyway?
He seems awfully mystical. He has lots of experience, like as if he's lived for hundreds of years.
It's his beard that does that. Don't let it fool you. Thanks for talking to me. It really is good to have someone to pour my heart out to. But now, about that saltpeter. Before you came, and before Zenek fucked up with the manuscript, we collected saltpeter all over the place, mainly in sties. It has to be scraped from the walls. Horrible work, time-consuming and annoying. I'm not going to lie to you. We also looked in a few chests. just in case. You know. Anyhow, now all the styes in the region are scraped clean and we're sitting pretty on a nice barrel of saltpeter.
Barrel is quite a lot.
For the whole Trotsky region, aye. Unfortunately, Crazel said we need at least 6 times as much.
6 times? Will 1 saltpeter pit be enough?
I reckon so. There should be as much as Crazel needs for his masterwork. If you're looking for it, you ought to know how saltpeter forms. Do you have any idea?
Certainly. You take a damp wall, like in a sty, you let the water evaporate from it, and you get this salty bloom.
That's right. But like I told you, all the sty walls in the region are scraped clean and we can't wait. Don't forget that saltpeter crystals are formed in places where something is rotting. It can be shit or carcasses. Well, a saltpeter pit is actually nothing more than a mass grave. The best natural saltpeter maker.
Crazel said saltpeter is a vessel for life energy. I get it that it's left over from dead bodies, but how do you get it from shit?
God's mysterious ways. You know how it is.
And he also wanted me to taste it. That's nonsense though, isn't it?
Unfortunately, it isn't. Otherwise, you won't know if it's saltpeter or some other shit. It feels kind of cold on the tongue.
Jesus. And you know where to look for such a pit full of carcasses, do you?
Not exactly, but I have an idea. Times are evil and there's plenty of corpses. A person who's digging holes and throwing dead bodies into them and doesn't even know he's got a a saltpeter mine.
You mean a knacker?
Exactly. And the one we have here in the region is also the gravedigger.
Ah, the gravedigger Ignatius. I've already met him. He lives outside Troskowitz in the direction of Apollonia, right?
Aye, that's him.
So I'm in for a walk to the cemetery.
Seems like it. Too bad you couldn't have walked around the county with us before. It was fun. And pretty useful experience. I learned a lot during that time, and I won't keep it to myself. I'd be happy to teach you something, if you want.
I'll keep that in mind.
That old gravedigger will be suspicious, so I'd bring him some kind of offering. He's always dragging those carcasses, so I'm sure he'd appreciate a slab of fresh meat from Troskowitz butcher.
Good idea.
He lives a short way from the cemetery, so at least the meat won't go bad on the way. Lots of luck, the poet.
Why do you work for the miller?
Because he pays well, and don't care how much coin I make on the side.
You mean by stealing?
And he doesn't ask any stupid questions.
What did you do before?
I got by any way I could. Believe it or not, I started in a convent.
You? A nun? Well, why not? I was in the cloisters myself for a while.
Oh well, different people have different fates. But we all ended up here anyway, in the armpit of the world.
What do you think about Crazel?
You're another one of those that don't know if they should love him or hate him, eh? Crazel is his own man. Once you learn to get along with him, you can't help but admire him a bit. But sometimes, he's unbearable as soon as he opens his mouth.
What do you know about the Troskowitz gravedigger?
He's a pretty tough old bird. He follows the rule, I'll treat you the way you treat me. And he appreciates when a fella's direct and open. But I probably wouldn't tell him everything about us.
So, Bonnie, the most honest girl I know, sent me. I'd like to see some dead animals as models for painting a church fresco. A scene from the apocalypse.
That might be a bit much. But you learn fast.
How was the saltpeter collection and tasting again? Sounds pretty disgusting.
It wasn't so bad. Xena kept whining about it, but being a saltpeter collector, it has its benefits. When you go and clean someone's sty, they don't pay much attention to you, and leave their purses and chests unattended. We made a pretty decent amount on the side.
What, by stealing?
Confiscating property for the greater glory of God. I hate the term stealing.
Just like Crazel. Tell me something more about Zinnek.
He's dandy, that's for sure. But also a bit of a fool. To be honest, I don't care for Crazel's horseshit most of the time either. I do this job because it's fun, unlike Zinnek. He does everything for his own good, doesn't give a damn about any greater cause or other people. Actually, he really pisses me off with his attitude. And he entertains himself by coming up with the stupidest nicknames for me. Dunger, for instance. What kind of a bloody awful name is Dunger?
Oh, lovely. And what does he call himself?
Scruffy. Or Jan, Nicholas, Franz, Peter, Jakub. The most bland, everyday names. He tries to be careful, but then he opens his big mouth and fucks it all up, just like in Troskowitz.
What is this lair place?
Crazel built a stall so all them honest, curious people in the mill, the likes of Hensel, wouldn't have to worry their little heads about what we're doing here.
You mean behind that boarded-up door in the cliff?
We're definitely not doing anything there right now, because of the mess in there. I told Zinnek to clean it up. I think he wants to see if the place will get so rotten that saltpeter will bloom on the walls.
I'd like to learn something.
What are you interested in?
Show me a few alchemy tricks.
Thanks. I'll teach you one trick, but it'll take time to learn it.
Greeting.
I'd like to learn something.
What would you like to know?
I reckon you've got a few tricks in your pocket to get into other people's pockets.
All right, but it'll take some time. Use that much the greengrocer has. My word. What a beauty.
Beauty? I don't know.
Why do you work for the miller?
Well, how can I put it? Anywhere else, they'd have kicked me out by now. The miller's the last person who'd still give me a job. He says every idiot is of some use at least.
And you see that as a compliment?
I see a coin in my hand every week. That's all I care about.
What did you do before you started working for the miller?
A bit of this, a bit of that. When I was still a boy, I stirred lye at a tannery, and then I slaved away at a dye house. But since I came to the town, it's been, well, let's say not exactly honest work. That's what I'm best at, see?
What do you think of Crazel?
Is this some kind of test or what? I can think what I want, and I keep my opinion to myself. And you ought to do the same.
I hate sweeping.
Long time no see, eh?
Crazel gave you another job.
Yeah. I proved myself to him last time, so why not continue our collaboration?
Did you come here to make fun of me? Just like Bonnie? As soon as she showed up, she gave me hell over that manuscript.
No, not at all. I just need to find out something only you would know. What do you know about the gravedigger?
Not much to know. He's half gravedigger and half knacker. He takes care of both dead people and animals.
I'd never have figured that out without your help. Anything more interesting?
He's my father. And he's a wizard, same as me.
Yeah, right.
It's true. I was born the seventh son of a seventh son. I have the power of clairvoyance and I can raise the dead. I'm just hiding out with the miller until my time comes. I've been chosen to save the world.
Yeah, nice story. But if I'm going to get the miller some saltpeter, I need to know something useful.
Oh, aye. You're not much fun, are you? The gravedigger's as boring as you are. Also, he knows when he's being lied to, and he hates it. So don't even try it.
You see? That's the kind of thing I wanted to know. Was that so hard? So, Zinek, have you any experience with saltpeter?
Oh, I never want to see that shit again. I still have the taste of it in my mouth. And Bonnie and me was taking turns tasting it.
Weren't you afraid a dead soul would enter you through it?
What? What are you babbling about?
Dead souls pass time in niter crystals, don't they? That's why the miller is looking for them. To bring the golem to life.
You fool! We're looking for saltpeter to sell to butchers for salting meat. There's good coin in it.
Well, the miller told me something different.
You can't believe everything he says. A golem in the mill. He's yanking your pizzle.
You're all just trying to confuse me.
Crazel's a good teacher. You know how it is.
What can you tell me about Bonnie?
Well, you mean Cheeks or Jezebel?
Are those nicknames?
Dunger, Snowdrop, Vixen... We always come up with the stupidest names, and nobody sees through them anyway. Bonnie's been here the longest, and has the most experience. I'm surprised she still puts up with Crazel and his mad notions. And I think she likes animals more than people. When I try to talk to her about work or weather, she gets bored.
What sort of place is this?
Our secret place, where we can quietly plot sneaky plans for our beloved Miller.
Behind that boarded-up door? What's inside that cliff?
You know, storage, rubbish, rats, filth. Look, I know Bonnie ordered me to clean up in there. Thanks to you, I'm sure the movement of goods will start again soon. So it'd probably be good to have some order around here. I just haven't got round to it yet.
Zinek, I have a few questions about the saltpeter pit we're looking for.
So now you need me, eh?
Farewell, good sir.
What did I do to you?
You.
I went to see my brother.
Gah!
Ow!
Oh, whoa!
can I help you today, friend?
I'm looking for a friend. He's called Capon. I'm sure you'd recognize him. In fact, you saw us both in the pillory, didn't you?
Aye, I saw you. But I ain't bothered, you know. You didn't rob me. Because if you did, I'd cut your thieving hands off on the spot.
Well, what about my friend? Have you seen him since?
He must be some friend if he's scarpered without you, eh?
I'm sorry, but that's not your business, is it? Was he here then?
No, he weren't. But I ain't saying I don't know anything. Just that it ain't your business, lad. And don't try anything on me. My business ain't your business. Got that? If that Capon wants to see you, I'm sure he'll find you. He ain't no fool, I reckon.
Show me your wares.
I was glad to be of help to you. Quick! Quick!
Ka! Go! Ka!
Don't you know how to keep your horse?
Go!
Greetings, my friend.
Ignatius, I'm gonna need your help.
Of course. How many are there? Where do you want to bury them? Shall we grind the teeth up, or do you want to take them away in your purse?
None of that. I have a different, slightly unusual request. Bonnie from Lower Semine sent me. We're looking for a saltpeter pit.
From Lower Semine? What pit?
A saltpeter pit.
I ain't never heard of nothing like that. What's it supposed to be? A pit to hell?
Nah, it's actually just a pit full of carcasses. These white crystals form on the walls of it, and that's exactly what we're after.
Ah, now I get it. You should have said you're looking for the pit I throw carcasses into. What's all this about Salty Peter? I'm going to go there anyway, so I'll take you there.
Really? That was easier than I thought.
Not even a chicken scratches in the dirt without hope of reward, though. You'll help me with something first. I have some collections from some Stratego farmsteads, and I'd be a fool if I didn't use a helping hand. At least one day I can take it a bit easy.
You want me to help you with your grave digging business?
Why not? You look like a strong fella. You'll be a good helper.
I have a better idea. You tell me where I can find that pit, and I'll give you a nice piece of fresh meat for it.
I won't say no to that. Show me what you have. Oh, aye, fresh meat. What a feast that'll make. Now, listen closely. That pit of yours lies at the end of a long journey that we'll take together on my wagon.
So you got meat out of me for nothing?
When I see how much you lot in Lower Semine are interested in it, I'm not just going to hand it to you on a plate. But thanks for the meat, and don't worry about a thing. Grave digging is a job like any other. Sooner or later, everyone needs our services. And if it wasn't for us knackers, folk would have to deal with their animal carcasses themselves.
Of course, I understand. I'm just a little worried about what people will say about me when they see me with you. I wouldn't like to lose the honor I've earned as squire to a nobleman.
Don't worry about what people say. They'll only strip you of your honor if you let them. So what then? Shall we take a nice little ride with my boys Snorter and Dragonfly here? Nice and early, at daybreak.
Let's get this over with then.
Didn't you understand me? We ain't going nowhere now. Like I said, be here at daybreak. That's between night and day. Do you understand?
Is there some place I can wait for morning to come?
Of course, if you've got nothing better to do, you can sit here with me. If you know how to read, I have a book hidden in the outhouse I got of a dead fella. That'll make the time go faster. In fact, you can keep it. All I can do is admire all them fancy squiggles in it anyway.
And where can I sleep?
At the inn in Truskowitz. Get a good breakfast there, too. You'll need it to be at full strength. Here's a little something so you know I take care of my helpers. See you in the morning.